pleased to have Congressman Mike Lawler of New York, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome to Newsline, Congressman Lawler. Great to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Syria is a complicated one. You have a NATO member, Turkey, involved in one portion of it. You have Biden promising to rebuild it, $1 billion to Ukraine. What do you think the extent of the involvement should be? Obviously, no one really understands how much you can trust the rebels here, HTP. And Trump was pretty clear in his post that this is not our fight.
Well, what you see is the consequences of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's failed foreign policy, starting with the disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan, which we'll be having a hearing on tomorrow with Secretary Blinken, all the way to today, with conflicts erupting around the globe. This traces back to the Obama administration's failures with respect to the red line. And the consequences of the failure to act then, and ultimately what we saw with the Russian, annexation of Crimea, to obviously their invasion today. So Donald Trump has a lot of work ahead of him when he becomes president of the United States, Republicans in control of the House and the Senate, to get foreign policy back on track, to have a foreign policy that is centered around peace through strength, but brings these conflicts to an end. We, as Americans, cannot foot the bill for every conflict around the globe. But we obviously also cannot shirk in our responsibility as leader of the free world. Right.
HTS, that is, and they're discussing whether or not to remove a $10 million bounty on him. So we watch and sort of see the next few phases of that, including what Israel does as well. Very important ally, as you know. I want to get your reaction to the Daniel Penny not guilty unanimous verdict, Congressman Lawler. There's a lot of questions about DA Alvin Bragg, why he even brought this case, the fact that some say he should resign, but all the lawfare we have seen. And Bragg, as a result of bringing this case, really, I saw some racial tensions yesterday outside the courthouse that this country does not need.
No question. Alvin Bragg has been a failure as district attorney. He is the worst district attorney in America. And this is someone who has allowed violent criminals to go back out onto the street only to reoffend. He is someone who has not stood up to protect victims. And he has allowed lawlessness to win the day in New York City. Sadly, we saw with Jose Alba, the bodega worker who was defending himself, and Alvin Bragg charged with murder. We saw here with Daniel Penny, a good Samaritan who was trying to protect innocent people, get charged. And we saw the lawfare against Donald Trump, in which Alvin Bragg took what amounted to a federal elections law violation that even the Biden Department of Justice would not prosecute,
Lawler,
and Cy Vance, his predecessor, wouldn't prosecute.
If I can step in, do you think it's gone to the point now where it's possibly criminal, that there should be investigations with the incoming DOJ on maybe crimes that Bragg himself would be guilty of, whether it be malicious prosecution, violating Daniel Penny's civil rights here? Has it risen to that level now, as there might be an opportunity for folks to come in and take a real hard look at where Bragg went way beyond the law, including, as you know, with Matthew Colangelo being right there by his side from the DOJ with the case against Donald Trump?
Look, I think very clearly Alvin Bragg should be removed as district attorney. Kathy Hochul has that power, and she should remove him effective immediately. If DOJ is going to look at violations of civil liberties, certainly in the case of Daniel Penny, that may be something they want to evaluate. But I think what is clear, more than anything else, is that Alvin Bragg has allowed politics to be pervasive in his decision-making, as opposed to upholding the rule of law. And Kathy Hochul has a responsibility under the New York State Constitution to remove him as district attorney effective immediately.
Information, truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.